Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and this is episode 266. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. How's everyone doing? It's been about a week and a half since I last recorded. If you've been with me for a while, you'll recognize this backdrop. I am recording in one of our downstairs spare bedrooms today. It's about noon, and right now the light is better in here than it is in my craft room where I usually record. So I thought I would set up shop in here today. The one downside of recording here is that I have a big window to my right here that looks out onto our backyard, and I often find that my attention is caught by something happening, usually birds. So you may see my eyes straying in that direction now and again. If we're lucky, a hummingbird will show up. The honeysuckle is kind of having a second bloom. It's right outside the window here, so you never know. I may be able to capture a hummingbird for you today. Cross fingers. If not, I do have another one that I will be showing you. All right, before we get into what I've been working on, just a reminder, there are a couple of make-alongs taking place in the Ravelry group. The year-long chatter thread, Another Year of Stash, and the monthly make-along Yarn of the Month Club. So if you're interested in joining in, I'd love to see you there. All right, I have a couple of finished projects today. One is a knitting one. I have finished my Bering Sea socks, so called because the name of this colorway is Bering Sea. The yarn is by Artfeel. It is the Bell base. I picked this up at the Beehive Wool Shop in Victoria, I don't know, a year or two ago, I think. And at the same time, I also bought this mini of the Capa Verde colorway to go with it for heels and toes. So nothing too fancy, my usual 64 stitch top down plain vanilla sock. I did 2x2 rib, and I did a traditional heel flap and gusset and a coordinating rounded toe. Very happy with how these turned out. Love the way the yarn knit up. It was exactly what I was hoping for. So I look forward to wearing these in the months ahead. Yeah, I think that's about all there is to say about these. I will move on to another pair of plain vanilla socks. Actually, I should mention both this pair and the pair I'm about to talk about are yarns from my personal sock yarn club. I set aside 12 skeins at the beginning of this year, and I got my husband to put them into paper bags and mark them numbers 1 through 12. So I think this is 7? 8 are still on the needles, and here I believe is number 9. No, 6, 7, this is number 8. I think I still have 4 bags remaining, that's right. So this is coming along nicely. This is a yarn from Sweet Fiber, who is a somewhat local to me yarn dyer. This is the Super Sweet Sock Base, and this is the Candlelight Glow colorway. Ooh, that's getting blown out. As you can see, this was one of the Holiday 2022 colorways. So again, actually, yeah, yes, this is a 20, I was going to say it was a 60 stitch sock. Actually, you know what? This was a 60 stitch sock, I think. Doesn't really matter. It's in my show notes, or in my project notes, which you can find a link to down below on YouTube, on the blog, or in the Ravelry group. I do show notes in 3 different places. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. This one is a 64 stitch sock though. I liked the way the yarn is knitting up in kind of a micro stripe. And I dug around in my yarn scraps. I found this leftover bit of the Woolen Rabbit Harmony sock in the Tupelo Honey colorway. So I weighed it. I had 7 grams. I weighed this after doing this heel. This is a German short row heel. It weighs 3 grams. So I'm either going to have just enough, because maybe it actually weighs about 3.5. You know how those scales work. You're not, if you're just in grams, you're not sure if it's a percentage of a gram over or under. So what I'm thinking is, if I get to the end of this heel and I'm running out, I'll just pull from the other end of the skein and find like a long section of the gold, and I'll just finish it up with that. It will be fine. Either way, it'll have more or less the same appearance of this gold heel in the middle of this sock. So as you can see, quite a ways down the foot, and should be able to do the toes soon. I found it interesting the whole way. This is kind of how it knit up, and then just here when I went back to, or I guess just before the heel started, I ended up with this wider stripe of white. Not really sure why. Doesn't really matter. I just thought it was odd how it knit up just a little bit differently there, because it's not doing it anywhere else. So kind of interesting. Anyway, what else do I have to show you? I'm just looking down here at my show notes. My Yarn of the Month Club project is getting very close to being finished. I had a few years ago bought a set of minis from Aberdeen's Wool Company. It's the Tangled Poets yarn, and it was called a pickle jar kit. There were 5 mini skeins of yarn in it, and I believe there was maybe a download link to the juniper and cedar shawlette. Or maybe I bought it. I really don't remember. In any case, that's what the kit was for. I have a feeling it was free, at least with yarn purchase, but I could be wrong about that. If I can figure it out, I'll put something down on the screen. Anyway, there was the section with the first mini skein, and then there's a ripple section with the second. I think last time I recorded, I think I just had the first 2 sections done. So there's what section 3 looks like. Section 4, back to ripples. And section 5 is back to this mesh lace. According to the pattern, I'm supposed to do 2 more rows, I believe, of this mesh lace. I will have enough, I think, for another 2 rows after that, and then the bind off. I'm going to end it a little bit differently. I think they basically end with the mesh and then you bind off. I think I'm going to put a row or 2 of garter stitch. I'm going to have to weigh my yarn and see what I can do, but I think I'd rather have a little bit more of a sort of heavier end to it. I feel like this could kind of curl or whatever. So this is a traditional triangular shawl. I haven't used to be, you know, all the rage to knit these little triangular shawlettes, and haven't done one for a while. So it has a 3-stitch garter stitch spine to it. So then you're increasing every right side row with a yarn over here, and then also along the edge. Don't know how well that's just going to show up. That's better, I think. So yeah, this has been good. Not too difficult. Pretty colors, kind of fun the way it's been broken into different sections, so you kind of have a goal. I like the way they did, I think I mentioned this last time, they blend the transitions by doing garter stitch beginning on the wrong side. So rather than having crisp stripes like that, you end up with these blended stripes. So that's taking place between each of the colors. It's not 100% perfect pattern. I did find it unusual when I was doing the ripple section. You would think usually on a triangular shawl you kind of have the mirror image happening on one side and the other. The way they had the ripples written in the first place was not like that, and so I kind of rewrote that part of the pattern for the second half. Another odd thing was in all the cases up until this last section, you changed yarns on at the end of the right side row. You began with a wrong side row, but then when you got to the end of this ripple section, there wasn't enough of the color D, or the variegated green, to be able to go across and back. And so you end with a wrong side row, which means you then had to cut your color E, take it to the end of the row and work your way back. So I found that a little bit clumsy. Also, something interesting was that the way the mesh is done, they do mirror it, and on one side you're doing knit two together with yarn overs, the other side of the shawl you're doing SSKs and yarn overs. But then when they did the bottom part, they kind of changed up the way you do it, and you wouldn't think there's a difference between a yarn over knit two together or a knit two together yarn over, but it does affect the way it looks, whether your first stitch on the needle when you go into it is a yarn over or a regular knit stitch from the right side before that. Hard to explain. Anyway, I went ahead and I changed it back to how it looked here, so that the center spine, wherever that is, would look the same. You can see there is just a line of yarn overs that are on either side of the center spine. If I had done it the way they said, it would have kind of branched out from here with an extra knit one, and I just thought I wanted to keep it clean like that. So little things, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, in case you haven't figured that out yet, at least when it comes to knitting. And so I have just found myself tweaking certain things in this pattern as I've gone along. Okay, I'm gonna just take a quick break and I'll be right back. I realized I did not mention that the designer of the cedar and juniper shawl is Heather Scott of Aberdeen's Wool Company. So my final knitting work in progress is the Secret Forest, I always forget exactly what it's called, Secret Forest Mystery Knit Along by Lisa K. Ross of Paper Daisy Creations. So I am about to show clues 1 and 2 and the beginnings of clue 3. So if you do not want to be spoiled, move along to the timestamp, and you will not be spoiled. So ready, set, here we go. So I am knitting this project out of Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love sock. The main color is Cauldron, which is black. And then I chose the kit that was designed for this make-along called the Midnight Walk. So there are 7 contrasting colors. So it's hard to know exactly how to show this because the shape of this shawl, it's a wrap, so which makes me think long and rectangular, but there's some strange shaping going on, so I don't even know exactly how it's going to sit. So I'm just going to show you from the sort of bottom up, if that makes sense, or bottom down. I think it's a side. I'm going to show you, start with what, in the order the clues were, I'm going to show you like from this way up. That's what I mean. So this was the beginnings, and I didn't bring, oh yeah, I do have my pattern this time. Because as I mentioned last week, she, for last episode, she has some really cool names for her different sections based on the theme of the make-along. So this part was entering the forest, and that's using contrast color 1. And then this section was dewdrops. So hopefully, again, there you go. Against the lighter background, you can tell that it's a kind of a eyelet lace pattern. I'm hoping that the light from the window here will, I think it shows the texture pretty well too. Next up was twigs. So that's a textured pattern there. I'm gonna think that works to not have the light coming through. So it's a ribbed, textured rib section. And you can see separating those 2 sections was contrast color 2. And there's contrast color 3. So then we move on to clue 2. So this lace section is fallen leaves. Hopefully you can, oh, there we go. You can see it's really nice. There we go. Yeah, nice lace. Of course, with the dark yarn, it's hard to see. Plus, it's messing, I know, with the camera setting, so sometimes it lights it up a little better than others. But it's a beautiful leaf lace pattern. There is contrast color 4. And then we moved into tree trunks. Hopefully you can see that. There, oh, there. Yeah, it was there for a second. There we go. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. So that's a little cable section. I'm going to try that with the lace and see if that works too. Ah, there you go. How about I try that with these sections too, just so you can really see. Come on. Aha. Just gotta trick the camera, I guess. And there we go. Okay, good. So right now I am working on the first part of clue 3. Let's see, again, if I can get the camera to cooperate here. just have to be patient. I can't remember what this part is called. Something about branches, I think, twisted branches or something like that. And then there's, and then you can see there's contrast color 5. So there's the branches. Then there is another stripe of contrast color. Where did I put it? 6. So that's this. Then there's a another textured section, has something to do with acorns, and then end with contrast color 7. So it's been fun to see the different contrast colors being knit up, but as you could see, and I'll just hold this up from the beginning, there's a lot of black in there. And so I'm anticipating that the second half of the shawl is going to have a lot of color. And I know Lisa mentioned that there was a lot of fun things going on in the second half, and she was really excited about it. So as I mentioned, this has a bit of a strange shape. So you cast on like that much, and for all of the clue so far, you've been increasing on this edge. So you have this diagonal. Actually, it's neat to see it held up like that. I haven't done that before. But then while you kept, for clue 1, you kept the edge straight here. Now it's formed, you're doing a decrease at this end in order to keep the same number of stitches, and so it's hard to tell, but you have a little bit of a corner here, sort of. So I'm very interested to see what the final shape of this is going to be. But yeah, this gives you an idea anyway of how it is coming along so far. One thing I should mention, I don't think I did last week, is that, let me just duck down here, grab my main color. So I am not sure if the camera is going to pick it up or not. But these skeins, even though they're both cauldron, they're a little bit different. And so I have been alternating rows, alternating skeins throughout. So 2 rows of one, 2 rows of the other, in order to get a well-blended result. Because I didn't know what the shawl was going to look like, and I didn't know if I would be able to use different skeins in different sections and not have it noticeable. So I just decided to blend them like that. Happy with that decision. Yes, enjoying this. So clue 4 is supposed to come out. Look how nice that looks against the wall. Clue 4 is supposed to come out next Tuesday. So far, like clues 1 and 2 came out a day early. I think clue 3 did too, but not till the end of the day. So look at that. I just love how you can see that against the yellow wall. Anyway, I have a bit of fluff on me, on my lip. Yeah, so that's it for my knitting works in progress and end of the spoiler. So let's move on to cross stitch. And if you've seen the thumbnail for this video, you will know that I have finished my autumn bell pull. I can feel that little bit of yarn fluff on my lip. That's like the worst feeling. Anyway, autumn bell pull. This is from Stoney Creek, August 2006. I started it back in 2006 or 2007. Worked on it off and on over the years. Recently took it out and was determined to finish it by fall this year so that I could actually hang it up. And mission accomplished. It is done. It is done. So this is the decorative hanger. And I'm just gonna, oops, it doesn't want to, as I scroll up, it's going to fall off. So I'm just gonna take this off. I'm just going to very slowly scroll up so you can see each of the letters. So there's A, U, T, U. Both U's are the same, which I thought was a bit of a cop-out. M and N. And then this one is finished with a triangular end to it. A couple of the other ones are just straight across. Thoughts, okay, so I did the stitching as instructed, but I did change the words just to make it more secular because it had a religious tone to it, and I just wanted it more general. So I did do that. I did not realize this after I had washed it. Now I have a lot, pretty well all my threads, because I've been cross stitching for a long time, and because I haven't done a lot lately, I haven't bought new threads. I'm used to, when I cross stitch, I just wash my fabric in a little bit of lukewarm water with a little bit of dish soap in it. And I've never had any occasion where I've had the dyes run. In this case, the large letters plus the lettering is done with a different yarn than the DMC regular floss. And I didn't notice it after I had washed it, but when I was putting it together, I noticed that the dye did run a little bit around these letters. I don't think it's like super noticeable. I don't want to even attempt to rewash it or set it or do anything. It is what it is. Not the end of the world. I don't think it really leaps out at you from, where most people are going to see it from. So I can live with that. So I did buy some cotton quilting fabric to do the back with. So just sewed along each edge, and then it took me a little while to get the angle and the placement right on this bottom. And then I turned over a quarter or inch or so, and then hand stitched this for the, with this in here. I don't even know if the dowel would come out. It might not even be big enough. Doesn't really matter. It's never coming off. Yeah, so that was that. When it is hanging, the fabric is not completely straight. There's a little bit of a to it. Again, doesn't bother me. These edges are straight in relation to these lines. This is called Ann cloth. So it's fine. It's fine with me. I'm happy to have it done. So I have hung up a couple of adhesive hooks that are removable without damaging your wall. I hung them on the end of one of our banks of cabinets in the kitchen. It's the one that faces the dining area, and it's just a little narrow spot. Seemed perfect for this. So I finished this day before yesterday, I think. We hung it up I guess I hung it up that night. And so yesterday, as I was eating dinner, I could see this from my seat. And every time you come in and out of that doorway, that's next to the living room, you can see it. So I'm really happy with it. Before we put the little hooks up, this little hanger is actually meant to be mounted to your wall. You can see there are two little holes there. You're given screws to go with this. So this is actually meant to screw into the wall. But then if it's so seasonal, I just don't understand that, because why would you want to leave up an autumn hanger like all year long? And so instead I have it so that the hooks just kind of sit right there, and it hangs up fine. Anyway, so there is my autumn bell pull. I will put a photo so you can see, you know, the whole thing in one shot, because that's hard to do unless I hold it sideways. Very, very happy to have finished that for this fall. So I do believe I mentioned that my plan was then to begin the summer bell pull. This is part of a series of 4. So this is the summer one. Lots of pretty colors, lots of flowers, butterflies, bees, hummingbirds. There has a few little ladybug buttons or beads that you put in place. It's just gorgeous colors. This one is going to be just flat across the bottom. And I didn't bring it in with me, but it has a, the hanger has flowers and a hummingbird on it. As I was tidying up, I realized that the hanger for the summer bell pull was sitting right beside me. So there it is. You can see hummingbird and a flower. So I went ahead and I started it. So there's the beginning of S. I'm going to put this over my, oh there, I think that's better. I was just going to try and get the light better. I think that works. So I finished that little hummingbird last night. And what I did on this one, which I think is going to make a huge difference, is I went ahead and I began all the other letters, so that when I finish S, I can begin U, and I already know where to continue with the letter U. I ended up doing that with the last letter on my autumn one, and it just took away that whole thing of, oh, where do I put the first stitches? Because it can be a little bit fiddly to count and make sure you have them in the right spot. So now all of my letters are started, so when I move from S to U, I can just ease in really easily instead of trying to figure out where to start. So it was, you know, I wanted to start with S and get going on the actual, you know, other than the letter, get going on the actual cross stitch fun part. But I made myself do that, and I think it was time well spent. So yeah, off to a start with S. I've been trying to make time most weekday afternoons. I go sit in our family room where we've got a window behind me, so I've got some good light, watch some TV, and cross stitch for an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And so I'm hoping if I continue that routine that I will indeed have this summer one done in time for summer of 2024. So we'll see. I know myself well enough to know that sometimes I get sidetracked, but I'm really hopeful that I will manage that. Okay, that is it for projects. Just that moves us on to what's been happening in my life since we last spoke. The answer to that is not a whole ton. A couple of things of note. Well, Cameron's back home again, at least for a little while. He had worked out of town I think the week that I recorded, he was gone. And so he was home. Yeah, he's been home. He came home Friday night, and he's been home this week. So that's been nice. And on Saturday, we took part in his company's annual golf tournament. So we paired up with one of his employees, used to be a manager of one of his stores, and now is doing outside sales. And he and I have made kind of a connection on a fun work trip one time years ago, and I kind of think of him as kind of like one of my kids. He's a little bit younger than our youngest son, and we just hit it off. So we golfed with him and his girlfriend. We did the same last year, and I think we'll continue as a foursome as long as as long as it works out. His girlfriend mentioned that she only wanted to come if she was golfing with us. So that was good. We had a lot of fun. It's only the second time I've golfed this year, and it might be my last, which is a shame in a way. It just didn't work out this year that we really got out. So yeah, that was fun. That was basically took up our whole Saturday. By the time we left and got home, it was about a 12-hour day because the golf course is about an hour away from us. You get there early, have some lunch, then golf, and then there's a dinner and prizes and stuff, and then the drive home. And then the next day, the next afternoon, Cameron and I went to the curling club. They had some time for members to practice, and so we spent about an hour throwing some rocks and getting our I was gonna say sea legs, that's not the right word, but ice legs back. My first slide out was kind of wobbly, but by the end of the hour I was feeling much more comfortable. And then we had our first game on Monday night. So we are curling Monday nights again, but we are curling, we have a new team. Just for various reasons, our old team has split up. The two women we did curl with before are curling together, and then we are curling with a couple who is friends with one of the women that we used to curl with. And it just worked out great that the four of us could curl together. And so far so good. We did not win, but we had a very close game. This is this couple's first game back in about 3 years. So they were quite, I think, a little bit nervous about coming back, but they did fine. None of us are super competitive and worried, going to lose sleep if we don't win. And yeah, we had a very close game. We were tied going into the last end, and we lost it. But I figure for the first game back, we couldn't have done much better than that, other than to actually have won that end. So yeah, it's fun getting back to it. I have a little bit of a dilemma. I signed up to spare on Wednesday mornings, and in fact I already have, I think, 4 dates lined up for one of my sisters. So I've got that down on the calendar, but then my other sister who curls, the one I used to curl with on Thursday nights, phoned this morning to say that the team that she was going to curl with Tuesday mornings is just not going to work out for a variety of reasons. And she's been asked to put another team together and skip it. And so she called and she said, I know you probably don't want to, but I thought I would let you know, don't feel any pressure to curl then if you don't want to, but I thought I would at least tell you. So now it's like, do I curl Tuesday mornings? I think it would be fun to curl with her again. It's at 10 o'clock, so you're done by noon. It's not too bad. That's why I like to spare for the Wednesday league, because it's also 10 till noon. And so you still have the rest of your day open. If I did that, maybe I would then not spare for the Wednesday morning, or, just as obviously I would cover the dates I've committed to. But one reason I like doing the Wednesday morning as a spare is then I don't have to show up every Wednesday, and I can pick and choose when I curl. So I have to decide whether I want to commit to 2 days a week. The other thing is if I curl Monday night, basically I have to turn around and be back at the curling club about 12 hours later. So I'm gonna think about that for a day or two before I decide completely. So stay tuned. One thing that's good about curling more than once a week is you do keep in the rhythm of things. If you're only curling once, I think you are less consistent. That's the word I was looking for. So, and it's good exercise. And this Tuesday morning is a women's league, so it's just women. So there's something to be said about that. I realized curling on Monday night, now we have 2 men and 2 women instead of 3 women and 1 man. And I noticed that the men, they sort of take over the sweeping, and they are stronger and they can move a rock better than a woman can, other than professionals. But even those men are stronger sweepers than the women, even though the women's sweepers are amazing in the competitive arena. But that means I don't get to work as hard and do as much and have that same, I don't know, just takes a little something away. So it would be kind of fun to be part of a women's league again, be on more of an equal footing in that sense. So I don't know, I'm definitely thinking about it. You can tell I didn't dismiss it out of hand. Okay, my something good is that autumn is this close. Saturday is the equinox and the first day of autumn, and I could not be happier. My favorite seasons are spring and fall, in large part because of the more moderate temperatures. Not too cold, not too hot. Right now it's beautiful and sunny, breezy outside. A little bit smoky again today. We had a bit of a break. And then we actually had, night before last, it rained. And I don't mean we just got a few drops like we've had off and on for most of the summer. Whenever they've said we're going to have rain, it hasn't done much. But that night it rained. It sounded so good, felt so cozy to be inside and hear the rain falling. And everything just needs moisture so badly. So now the temperatures are, it's back to sunshine, but it's not hot. I did get warm. Earlier I was paused it to go and change. I had long pants and wool socks on because when I got up this morning, it was a little cooler. But I forgot this is the season that you change 3 times a day. Sort of spring and fall tend to be like that, especially when they're changing from one season into the other side of summer. And so now I've changed to some capris and bare feet, so I'm much more comfortable. I was getting warm, but yeah, I just love this time of year. So I'm very happy, very, very happy. I'm just going to enjoy it as long as I can before the rains come. Remind me if I do complain about gray skies and rain a month or so from now. Remind me of how badly we wished we'd had it, back in the summer and early fall. Okay, I think that's it for today. Oh, just a reminder, I have not heard from one of the winners from last week. I'm still waiting to hear from the August Another Year of Stash winners. So if you've participated in that, you might want to go back and watch episode 265. Yeah, as far as I know, I'll be recording again in about a week's time, and so take care until then. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your comments and participation in the make-alongs. I am a little behind in those threads as usual, so I'm going to try and catch up by hopefully the end of this week. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care. See you soon. Bye.